Hello and welcome to the University of Law. In today's video I am unboxing and reviewing Master Planet of Doom. It's a Doctor Who spin-off. This is the third season of Master. It features Eric Roberts' incarnation of the Master, who debuted in the TV movie along with this chap here, the Eighth Doctor. So it's the Master, the Eighth Doctor face in the TV movie. Now, for years, this was a Master who we only ever saw in the TV movie, and then recently he appeared in, I think it was Ravenous, Volume 4, is when he made his debut, and he was in that, and he was in a River Song set, and now he's had his own spin-off ever since, with Vienna, who also had her own spin-off for 4 box sets, and before then made her debut in a 7th Doctor story. So here they are. It's a great reunion. As I've said often, I love these spin-offs, and I get them when I can. But for me, the priority is always getting the Doctor Who releases, the actual Doctor Who releases, with an incarnation of the Doctor and played by an original member of cast. So I kind of saw this, and I suspected that because Paul McGann's in it, and it was stated that Paul McGann was playing the Axon Doctor, an Axon duplicate of the Doctor, and I kind of wondered whether that was just a cover for the fact that the Eighth Doctor was going to make a surprise appearance. Certainly, the synopsis implied that it was going to be the Eighth Doctor who was going to make an appearance, and also the fact is that Axos usually need a copy need to have encountered the individual that they're copying, so I thought there must be the Eighth Doctor, must be there somewhere. And then on release day, a couple of days later, I had a look on TARDIS Wiki, and there it was. The Eighth Doctor is in fact in the set, so I then got it ordered, and it's just arrived. So, without further ado, let's get this unboxed, and I'll let you know my thoughts on it. It's my first time buying Master. I've listened to the first series. I think it was just the first one, because a friend of mine bought it and lent me his CD. So I've heard season 1, but I've not heard season 2. But I very much enjoyed series 3. What's great about it is obviously Eric Roberts and Chase Masterson both live in the States, and so it's recorded and directed by Jason Haigh-Ellery, their segments, and then the UK bits are done separately. And what's great actually is it does have it does feel very 90s. Obviously, Chase Masterson having been in Deep Space Nine, Star Trek in the 90s, TV movie, it has a very kind of 90s American sci-fi feel to it, because most of the sci-fi that was produced during the 90s was American, and it does have that kind of feel to it, even the logo. So it has that aesthetic, which is great, because Big Finish doesn't have an awful lot of 90s stuff going on. You know, there's lots from the 60s to 70s, 80s kind of Star Cops, that kind of thing. So they do a lot of Gary Anderson stuff from the 60s and 70s, Star Cops from the 80s. There's nostalgia for things that have happened more recently, but there's not an awful lot of 90s nostalgia. And while this isn't a 90s series that they're resurrecting in the same way that they might have done with Blake 7 or Doctor Who or Star Cops, it is a series that very much has characters and actors that you associate with franchises from that decade. So that was really cool. There's also, of course, the TARDIS flying up there, which was an obvious clue. The Eighth Doctor was going to come back. So yeah, this has got the Axons back. You can see that's quite a lovely artwork there of the Eighth Doctor. It's not clear when in his timeline it's set, although the fact that he's kind of wearing his Time War outfit. The Time War isn't explicitly stated. I think there's times where it sounds as though the Time War has happened and the Time Lords don't exist. There's times where that kind of feels like it's being referenced. At a push, I'd kind of pop it in that sort of that period just before the war, when we had the trilogy of stories with the Eighth Doctor in the time of Victorious, and that's probably where I'm going to place it for now until I hear otherwise. Otherwise, probably I'd have it around that kind of trilogy of solo stories where he's in the Time War, the Centauran Ordeal, the classic Doctor's New Monsters stories, really. So let's get this slip box off. So actually, before we go, we got obviously the Master on the side and the logo. It's called Planet Doom. We've got Series 3. And on the back, we've got 3 episodes: Basilisk, Axos Rising, and Hellbound. So let's get it open, if I can. I always find these boxes a little bit fiddly. So let's see if I can get it off. There we go. Done it. Right. So here we are. So we've got the same artwork as on the slipcover. I'll try and prevent the glare. Okay. Then I open it up. If I can get the front off, there we go. So disc 1. So this Basilisk. So let's just open it up. And that's the first set here with the Daleks in. Yeah, it's set shortly after the invasion of Earth, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so it's set in humanity's future. This series, it's kind of set in one time frame. The Master is he's not quite fully resurrected yet. He's kind of still just half out of the vortex where the Eighth Doctor put him during the TV movie. So this one is obviously carrying on previous stories. We have another reunion with Vienna for the Master, and they're being employed essentially to help with this almost like an archaeological expedition, but it's clear that there's something more going on in the background. There will be spoilers as I talk, by the way. There's a great cast of supporting characters, and I think this Master is really, I would say, threatening to take the War Master's place, actually, as one of the most brutal of the Masters. Very callous. It very much it's very much the Master you see in the TV movie. You know, the Master who flicks his fingernail off in one of the scenes, and very emotionless. You know, that you can also imagine the sunglasses on, just nothing behind the eyes, very robotic. Played beautifully by Eric Roberts, remembering how he portrayed the part back in the 90s. But yeah, no, it's a really good story, and as I said, this Master is really callous, really unfeeling, really emotionless. Just has a job to do and will robotically do that job. Very heartless, and that comes across in this story, which really sets the box up nicely, and ends with a nice little twist, which is that the Master and Vienna are handcuffed and they cannot be separated from each other, otherwise they will die. So it's a nice way of keeping those two characters together. We've got our booklet with a cast list on the back. The Doctor, Paul McGann. There we go. Artwork again inside, and acknowledgements, etc. Synopsis. Yeah, probably not the miracle she was hoping for. That's a little reference to Night of the Doctor. Okay, so then we move on to the second story. Now, obviously, we as a buying the set, it's going to be Axos. It's on the front cover. But this one's called Axos Rising, episode 2. And this is where it kind of really starts to get interesting and take off as a story. This is where we kind of get to the real kind of meat of the set, and the Master trying to ally with Axos. Lots of lovely little nods to Claws of Axos, linking the Master back. I think you realise by episode 1 that the Master knows what is coming. I think there's a unit file that gets redacted. I think across these first 2 episodes, there's a unit file that's been encrypted, but he kind of, from what you can hear, he's working. It's Axos, and you can tell that he's working out, but he's keeping it close to his chest. And by the end of this episode, Vienna is in trouble. Her friend Compassion is out to help her. It is Compassion, isn't it? I'll just check the cast list. Passion. Her friend Passion is out to help her. And the Master's pretty much is working with the Axons, and you think the Master's got the upper hand. Of course, that's all about to change. Again, there's some lovely references that continue in this story. I could tell throughout it was great hearing Eric Roberts mention some 70s stories. And as the writer's saying, the behind the scenes features on the discs, I've listened on the app, but on the discs and the app as well. It's great to hear him because it reminds you that it is the same character. This is the same character that Roger Delgado plays. So that was quite cool in this story. It wraps up really nicely. That's the second set. There we go. Nemesis Express. It wraps up quite nicely. About halfway through, I think there's a lot of teasers, and then you realise that it's the Doctor. Obviously, the Master's up against the Axon Doctor. The Doctor saves the day along with Vienna. There's a bit of reconciliation between the Doctor and Vienna after their last encounter in his 7th incarnation. She's changed, and he gets to see that character development across the 4 Vienna sets and these 3 Master sets. And then the Doctor's got places to be, but the Master, who manages to survive his encounter, narrowly avoiding death, vows that he will take the Doctor on, which I'm hoping we're going to see a proper rematch between the 8th Doctor and his Master, really, because they had a brief scene together, I think, in Ravenous, and then they've had a very, very brief scene in this. So I'm hoping maybe the next set might be a whole set all about the Master pursuing the Doctor, trying to get his lives again. Maybe a little callback to the TV movie. Maybe it could even be a Time War story that leads into Night of the Doctor. Maybe he manages to defeat his master and then ends up hearing Cass's distress call. And that way, the McGann era is bookended by 2 stories about this master trying to use him to get to restore himself to life. That would be really, really fun, really exciting, really interesting. Yes, that's a really fun tease. Or maybe it's going to be, because we know for sure we're getting this master in one of the Dark Gallifrey sets. I'm assuming he's going to be in one of next year's seasons 3 or 4. So maybe, because we've got Tom Baker definitely coming up in the Morbius trilogy. I'm hoping for the War Doctor in the War Master trilogy. It would make most sense for the 8th Doctor to be in this Master's trilogy, simply because he's the only Doctor who's got an affiliation with this particular incarnation. So that would be interesting, actually, and it would certainly imply that if there is going to be a Doctor with the War Master, then it would imply, rather than having the 8th Doctor twice, you'd have the War Doctor, but that's not confirmed, that's just my speculation. So there we go. That's my review of Master Planet Doom. What did you think? Did you pick it up? What are your thoughts? What do you think is the future of this Master? Do you think he'll have another encounter with the 8th Doctor? Do you want him to? What are your thoughts? Do let me know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I look forward to speaking to you soon.